This is Barrels and Barrels, a bourbon and baseball podcast, with your hosts, Brandon Spinner and Michael Burns. Welcome into Barrels and Barrels, the bourbon and baseball podcast. As always, I am Brandon Spinner alongside Michael Burns, my partner in crime. We are doing a whiskey review this week on this week's Barrels and Barrels and bourbon and baseball podcast. Michael Burns, how are you doing?
Barrels and barrels. A bourbon and baseball
You would think
podcast.
that I've already had a couple pours today, but that's not the case. It just came from church. The Christ's and Savior, Lord Jesus Christ, we had his blood. Nah, I didn't have any of that today. But, yeah, we're recording a bourbon review, or actually it's going to be a whiskey review this week. Today is December 22nd, Thursday night. We are recording this just before Christmas, so if you're watching on YouTube and you're wondering what this thing hanging... Yeah, what
the
is
heck?
this? We talked about on an earlier podcast. We do it's not Elf on the Shelf, but it's a similar tactic. This is Annalie the Elf, and the silly elf happened to be on the microphone today. So that is. I figured it was apropos to just do the final Christmas season podcast with the elf on the mic. Speaking of Mike, Mikey, how are you?
Not looking forward to tonight and tomorrow morning. Wind chills. We're expecting wind chills below zero. Be sure, everybody, that you're dripping your faucets tonight to make sure that your pipes don't freeze. I have had that happen in the past, and out we go out to Brandon, who's going to give us the forecast out in the field.
Yeah,
Brandon?
wind chills tonight are going to be about 35 below here.
Thanks, Brandon. All right, back to Michael.
Back to Michael, the one putting on a news voice. Most of us don't do that, but some do. Some do. Some change their voice. But, yeah, nasty winter weather system. I know a lot of people are probably going to be pissed off. Hey, they got it wrong. And I'm going to blame all the other people who started showing snow totals last weekend.
I'm right here, Brandon. I'm right here, okay?
User 1349 said that I get paid wrong. I get paid to be wrong 50% of the time. No, so nasty winter weather storm, not necessarily the snow, but the wind gusts of 45 to 50 miles per hour. That's leading to wind chills all across the United States, pretty much down below zero. I know I saw it.
My dentist this morning told me that in Denver, the temperature dropped about 20 degrees, over like 20, 30
and that's
minutes.
what's going to happen here. It was 53 when we went into church, and it's going to be about 30 degrees in the next 10 minutes, and we're about 2.5 hours since then. So not necessarily as big of a drop, but yeah, nasty stuff. So hope everybody's having a safe and happy holiday season. Let's jump right into it. This week is, I don't know, would you call it controversial? I think it's kind of controversial. Yeah,
I think it's very controversial.
Jack Daniel's Bonded. This has been out for most of the year. I think it came out in the spring. Of course, if you haven't heard already, this fell atop the Whiskey Advocate #1 whiskey of 2022, which is what gives it the old controversy about the whole thing, because a lot of people are saying it doesn't deserve it. I've taken one pull out of the bottle. I've sent you samples, so this is really going to be fresh for me. I literally just took a pull out of it, and you probably saw that on my Instagram account a couple of days ago as I was trying to emulate my friend Jessie at Lady in the Bourbon. She does Fresh Pop Fridays. I did a fresh crack on that Friday for this. So this is Jack Daniel's Bonded. It is a Tennessee whiskey, so they will tell you that it is not a bourbon, but it's pretty much a bourbon. There's fights about that too.
Yeah.
So, Jack Daniel's Bonded, what have you seen? What have you heard? What do you know, Michael?
I mean, when it first was released, everyone's kind of like, what is this? I don't know the last time I owned any Jack #7. Gentleman Jack was a gateway whiskey bourbon for me. Other than that, I have a Single Barrel Select on my shelf.
As do I.
That I won last Christmas. I've taken a pour out of it, and that's the only Jack Daniels I have on my shelf.
I've got This is the second bottle I have. I have the Triple Mash, which we'll do a review of at some point as well. And then on the top shelf, I've got my old television station, the sales staff. They bought some Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Select bottles and had our station logo engraved on it. So since it was my previous station, I think that might be like a keepsake. So we'll see if I pop it open at some point. One of those collector's items in my mind being that it was a station logo. So we'll see, because there's plenty of Jack to find out there. So
kind of more like a plaque.
almost very, very similar. And it's got the Windmill name on it. Windmill was a liquor store out in northern Alabama. Is it all across the state, or is it just like the northern half? Do you know? I think there might be one near Birmingham, but
that's still pretty northern.
So this bottle is a 700 milliliter, not the general 750, but a 700 milliliter. It's a square. Just if you think, it kind of looks like a Jim Beam bottle normally, or kind of if you think about it, with the classic Jack Daniel's ribbing on the top. As you get to the neck pour. As far as Jack Daniels, this is the same number 7 recipe, which is 80% corn, 12% malted barley, and 8% rye. And this does go through the Lincoln County process, just as if it's the normal number 7. So the maple charcoal filtering before it goes into the charred barrels. So what that means is it's pretty much Jack until you get to the bonded process, which is part of that Bottled in Bond Act. That means it must.
But to say it's not bottled in bond, it's just bonded.
It's a bottled in bond. They just
it doesn't even
say bonded, but it has to be bonded. So it is a bottled in bond whiskey. It just says bonded instead of bottled in bond. On the side of the bottle, it says bottled in bond. So what that means is it has to be distilled at a single distillery by a single distillation season, so that's usually spring or fall. I'm assuming this one was spring because it came out in the spring, but it doesn't state it on the bottle, does it? As I'm looking, bottle Jack Daniels. Nope, it does not say what season it is. Also aged in a federally bonded warehouse for at least 4 years. There's no age statement on this, but it has to be at least 4 years to be a bottled in bond whiskey. And it's bottled at 100 proof, as always, as every bonded or bottled in bond whiskey or bourbon is. Age statement, like I said, no age statement on it. The price, though, MSRP, right around $30. You saw it today for what, 40, 44, 45?
It was 44 at Windmill. Yeah,
I've seen it a lot at Party Source for $32.99 or $33.99 at a couple other stores here in Northern Kentucky. I'd say this is widely available depending on where you're at and how many people ran out to the shelves and bought every single one the moment that Whiskey Advocate called it number 1. So that is why this is we'll call it controversial pour.
Yeah, we'll see. It's. So what's the difference between it and number 7? Was that just the proofing?
Probably the proofing. Yeah,
maybe
I think it's
age?
the proofing. What is the normal number 7 proof? Do you know? I didn't look that one up because I didn't think about it.
Jack Daniel's number 7 age and proof.
Age and proof. I don't know if they're going to tell you. You'll be able to find the proof. I don't know if you'll be able to find the age, but I would call this. Oh, it's
pretty
yellowy.
Ooh, number 7 is 80 proof, so this is a big jump. And then what's Gentleman Jack, 90?
I have no idea. I like Jack. It's not just something I'm going to go to, and I don't know too much about it, to be honest. So, if whiskey.
Yeah, Gentleman Jack's 80 proof as well. It's just twice charcoaled for more mellowness, which I will say it is.
So this, on the nose.
Does it smell like number 7 to you?
It's been so long.
I don't think so. I know it has been so long, but I feel like you know it.
Oh,
like, it doesn't smell like Jack and Coke.
I smell Jack, and I think Jack and Coke.
Yes.
I got some caramel and vanilla, which is just
yeah, it's mellow. It's still very mellow.
Almost, to me, it's got almost a banana-y. Like, I get a little bit of that. If I
search for that, I could find it.
There's some oak.
But no spice to it, no rye spice to it at all.
So we did this a couple weeks ago. The other nostril, I get a little bit more spice. So
I'm going to go ahead and get that little coat tongue there.
So this is a bonded whiskey. We're going to call it a whiskey because that's what it says on the bottle. Tennessee whiskey. It's big and bold with layered notes of what they say. What did you think?
So first sip just to get the mouth acclimated. Did Jack Daniels pay Whiskey Advocate? Can you trust the list at all for the rest of the list of Whiskey Advocate? Because this tastes like Jack Daniels.
To you, it tastes like Jack?
It doesn't. I'm not gonna say it tastes just like it, but this does not deserve to be number one for 2020.
Right off the top, I thought it was kind of thin, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that this is disappointing, but just because of Whiskey Advocate naming it number one, it makes it disappointing, and I'm disappointed.
It puts a higher expectation on what you're expecting of it. It's smooth, but I don't know. It's okay. It's good. I could sit down and sip this for sure, but yeah, I don't know. What were your notes?
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm too focused on the list of trying to just
get that out of your head. You're a professional.
Should have done it blind. Should have sent me all these samples blind, and we'd figure it out then. Michael, what we reviewing tonight? Oh, I don't know, Brandon.
Number 6. I don't know. I should have made it like number 5, and then you would think that number 7 was the Jack Daniels one. Oh, this is riveting podcasting right here. For those of you can find us on YouTube at Barrels and Barrels Pod, also Instagram at Barrels and Barrels Pod, and on Facebook at Barrels and Barrels Pod. If you want to email us, that's barrelsandbarrels@gmail.com as we fill the time. Michael, get the list out of your head and tell me what your notes are.
It's almost like very corny. I almost get like a peatiness out of it a little bit.
I mean, to each their own.
I'm not getting the vanilla like we got on the nose at all. I'm getting more just straight caramel. The spice does sit on the tongue when you first sip it. The finish is peaty. The finish is peaty. And then as I talk and have it more change in my mouth, it tastes like number 7.
I get more of I don't get as much number 7 out of it. I can see it there for sure. It's simple. It's just a simple pour to me. It's thin. It's not something I'm running at to go grab. This wouldn't make my top 15 or top 20 for what we've had so far this year, or really everything that came out. But I don't see how it got number 1. Was it because of the price and the availability for $30? I understand ranking something because of the availability and the price, but I don't see how this makes the top of a list as the best whiskey of the year when you're looking at a whole variety. Like, there were scotches, there were Irish whiskeys, there was bourbon, there were ryes, and then there was Tennessee whiskey on the list. So taking everything that came out, I don't see it. I don't see even top 10. I don't see top 20.
No. I don't know how
I would grab another bottle.
Place.
If I ran out of it, I would drink this over the number 7, to be honest. But I'm not blown away.
I don't even like it. If it wasn't even rated, I'm just getting the rating out of my mind.
I think you're tainted by that, but it's okay. The finish is all right. I'm not blown away from this. I'm not going to finish this, but not tonight. But yeah. So on a rating scale, we are a baseball and bourbon podcast. So we went with a baseball rating system regarding our bourbon or our whiskey, which goes from Hall of Fame at the top of the charts, All-Star number 2, number 3 is an everyday player, number 4 is a bench, and number 5 is a designated for assignment. So far we haven't got there, but the way this is going, I'm assuming Mikey is probably going to be DFAing it, and I think it's probably a tainted review or rating, but we'll see where we're at.
Jack Bond, I'd like to talk with you. Have a seat, please. All right. There's no easy way to say this, but you've been cut from the team, man. You didn't make the cut. Things aren't working out. It's the clubhouse atmosphere a little bit that you bring, and really just overall, your value to the team just isn't there. We're gonna have to designate you for assignment, sir.
So there it is. The first DFA from Barrels and Barrels comes from Michael Burns, getting rid of the bond. I think you're kind of tainted by the Whiskey Advocate review and the number one rating, because you like to be opposite of a lot of people. But
I don't let others influence me.
I think you just did. I literally think you just did.
No, I think just recently in the last day or two we had some great pours, and I don't know if that has an effect of this, but if I had this bottle, if I would have bought it today at Windmill, I don't know when I'd be reaching for it again.
I'm gonna give this a bench. I'd rather have this over 7. I think it's good. It's not great. It's not wonderful. It's not, as I usually say, fantastic. It's good. It's nothing special. I got caramel. I got brown sugar, some oak, some spice. Here, you know what I would say? If you're someone who's trying to get interested in whiskey, I don't think this is a terrible starting point. To be honest, I don't think this is bad. I don't think it's DFA on my level. Like, I think of some that like taste like pure gasoline or fire as like my DFA. That's not where I'm going with this, but it's a bench. For $30 availability, okay, grab it. If you, it's $30 isn't going to break your bank, but it's not something.
Grab from Gentleman Jack.
What's the price on Gentleman Jack? I don't even know. I don't even about the same.
It's about the same.
I don't know. I'm a higher proof pour. 100's not bad. It doesn't drink like a 100.
Right.
There's not a whole lot of character to it. To be honest, it's simple, and that's what I was trying to say. When I look for something, I want a little more character out of the pours that I have. Something that's going to give me more of that oak. There's oak there, but this is good. It's not great, and that's why I'm going with a bench. So.
Probably a great mixer.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be mad. You wouldn't be mad to mix that.
No, I wouldn't be mad.
Since it's higher proof.
No. I'll probably just drink it as is, and it's probably my second, third, or fourth pour of the night rather than like my starter. That's just where I'm at. If we want on bullpen rankings, this is the long reliever. And for those of you who don't know baseball,
when you're down by 10 runs and you don't care about the game anyway,
when you're getting your ass kicked, this is the one you go to just to get you through the rest of the game or the rest of the night. So, again, Jack Daniel's bonded, no knock on them. This was not an amazing pour to me, and it is nowhere near my top 20 list. So, do you think, here's a conspiracy theory, you think Whiskey Advocate's hurting for membership, for subscriptions, and decided, hey, if we do something very controversial, people are going to be talking about us because there's no such thing as bad press?
I feel like there's no such thing as bad press, but you're losing a little of your bit of your reputation. Reputation, If I were to come out here and say, Old Tub is number 1, what are you gonna think of my palate, huh, Brandon?
I'm gonna put it out there. I'm not a fan of Old Tub. It's probably one of my least favorite pours out there. I know some people love it. So, and that's, again, as I've said multiple times on this podcast, that's what is so great about this community, about whiskey in general, is some people may love something while others may think it's garbage. But their reputation, their trustability, like your trust in them. I'm not going to trust next year. I used to put some faith in it. Like, I really enjoyed the Dickel 8 last year that they, I think, had 8th on their list. Not bad. But, yeah, no, I do not see this as a number 1 pourer of 2022.
No, we in our 3-4 month span of Barrels and Barrels even have had
I can name off at least 7 right off the bat. It's hard to remember what we've had, but that King's Ranch was delicious. Last week we rated the Maker's FAE BRT -02. very highly. 1792 barrel pick from Greg at Bourbon's Finds. But, this just falls short in a lot of different spots. I want more of a... Yeah, I'm not saying punch me with the heat, but there's not a lot of heat. It's just simple. So if you've listened to 20 minutes of this podcast already, you realize that we don't like this, and I'm not going to poop all over Jack Daniels on this, but it's not a bad product. I think that they're still going to sell plenty of it, and I think people are going to come back for it, but it's not a top 20 in my mind.
Yeah.
So that has been a Barrels and Barrels bourbon or whiskey review. Barrels and Barrels of Bourbon and Baseball podcast. If you want to reach out to us, you can find us on all the social media platforms. We're on Instagram at Barrels, the letter N, Barrels Pod. We're also there on Facebook. Just type in facebook.com/Barrels and Barrels Pod. YouTube, Barrels and Barrels Pod, as well as that email. All you have to do is barrelsandbarrels@gmail.com. That is also our Twitter handle at Barrels and Barrels. Find us on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, as well as those other streaming platforms. We're on iHeartRadio as well as Google Podcasts, but I don't think many people have listened to us there yet. But if that's something that you're leading to, head on over there. As always, please rate us, review us, just like we openly rated and reviewed this whiskey. Give us your thoughts. Do not do that to our podcast, please. Do not take... But we would love your reviews. And to all of you listening, we hope you have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Thank you for listening. We hope you have a very safe holiday season as well. Michael, any last words?
Yep. Merry Christmas, everybody. Hope you enjoyed time off and time with your family, and enjoy some good special pours.
Just not this one. All right. That has been it for Barrels and Barrels, a Bourbon and Baseball podcast. Again, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and be safe.
Let's go.